This is a reading from the first book of Samuel, chapter 16, verse 7 and on. But the Lord said to Samuel, "Do not look on his appearance or on the height of his stature, because I have rejected him. For the Lord does not see as mortals see. They look on the outward appearance, but the Lord looks on the heart." Bodybuilding, building muscle, having that as your main pursuit, I believe it's not a Christian thing to do. And it's very hard to live that life as your sole dedication while being a Christian. This is something I've struggled with immensely, and definitely still do to some extent. The vanity associated with wanting to build muscle. So let's talk about it. A bit about me, my story. I got into lifting for sport. I used to play baseball, and a big part of that was just your leg strength. So I was really into squatting and deadlifting in high school. And then my senior year, I really picked up like bodybuilding or like power building. And then eventually it was just like pure bodybuilding. And that was my goal. Realistically, that was one of, if not, probably in terms of time, energy, and like mental effort, building muscle was probably the biggest goal of my life for like a year and a half, and still kind of flagged in my mind for a while, and has for a while after, as like dedicating to a focus. So if you're watching this and you're getting to the gym now, or you're new to the gym, again, I'm not like a gym expert. I've been lifting maybe like 4-ish years, 3-ish. No, senior, freshman, sophomore. Yeah, like 3 or 4 consistently. Like, yes, bicep curls are fine, but having that as your only like physical focus can be really difficult for your mental and for your relationship with God and your spiritual. So when I guess was like looking up on YouTube like a bunch of lifting stuff, I came across all these influencers like the Trent twins, like Lex Little, and what's the other guy? Alex Eubanks. And these guys all look like amazing physiques. And I really aspired to that. And I still do. And I let this desire like really captivate me. And there are worse desires, like probably lust, I don't know, greed, something like that. But vanity and obsessing over body image is certainly not a good desire or something we should aspire to. I'm extremely, and I still am extremely self-conscious about specifically my arms, which is really funny because like that's the muscle group like I've tried to progress or grow the most. And I've talked about this in past videos, like for periods of time, like renouncing that desire to grow bigger arms or not having that as my focus and my split. And I don't know, I've come to a lot more peace with it. It's weird because I don't know, like I've been lifting forever and my arms aren't that big, like at all. I mean, I haven't been lifting forever, but it definitely feels like compared to other body parts, my arms, which is the part like I find the most cool, most like attractive, like the part I want to be the biggest, is probably relatively comparatively to the rest of my body the smallest, which is just very ironic. So before moving into a bit of the vanity, I just want to say like the approach I have now is I don't think, and again, this is still like a working thesis, working idea, as a Christian, our obsession should be over something physical. I don't think as a Christian, our obsession should be over something physical. That being said, I think there are especially other physical avenues, physical disciplines, namely endurance running, I'm thinking of that, which align a lot better with the Christian faith and allow for more, I guess, a closer matchup to the spiritual life. And what I mean by that is, again, this is definitely a personal conviction thing, but I find running a lot more pure for me, and lifting can be very like clouded with my desires. I can get like ADHD about like writing new splits or finding new exercises, and I just feel like pursuing bodybuilding like as the only focus is not the way to go. And I kind of like this idea of like a hybrid approach, because when you say like hybrid, which is like a new kind of trendy term, like Nick Bare, hybrid athlete, you're not going to be the best at any given discipline. And you're kind of taking that on and accepting it. Like, yes, you can try, and yes, you can do very, very well for your size, for your age, whatever. But the people who are the best bodybuilders, the best at martial arts, the best at running, they're not balanced in their training. They pick one thing and they obsess and they focus on that. And they sacrifice so much in their life for their craft. Like, it's very motivating. I was listening to it a while back, like Conor McGregor. It was like an old montage of him doing some like weird like warm-up jiu-jitsu stuff. And he was like, he's like, it's just me and my craft. He's like, you can't have any outsiders out of the game. I just love the game. It's probably a bad impression. But he was talking about obsession. And he's like, when I have all these cars, these money, and these houses, like, then I'll be happy. And then I'll know, like, I'll reach the top. And you see people like this all the time who reach the top of their craft. Kobe, Mike Tyson, saying it's all worthless. Because going all in on something worldly, we optimize for that. We optimize our life, our family, our friends, our relationships, our spiritual. We cut time for everything and optimize everything for that. So when you're getting into, fitness or lifting weights, bodybuilding is probably one of the most all-consuming of them. I mean, they all, I guess, can be all-consuming to a degree, like really pushing running or something like that. But specifically bodybuilding, I feel like it just comes with such a vanity and a focus on image. And as we hear in this reading from first book of Samuel, God doesn't look on outward appearance. He looks on our hearts, and that's what matters for our salvation and for heaven. And it is so tempting because we live in such a visual world where, I don't know, social media, and lifting has become such a popular thing now too. I feel like, I don't know, like when my mom or dad were growing up, like there weren't a lot of like teens or kids who lifted, but now like a decent proportion of them do and are trying to like build muscle and do this and do that. And yeah, I don't know. Again, it's still something like I'm actively thinking about because I still do like bicep curls. I want my arms to be bigger, but I guess that's not my main focus. I hope when I'm 30, when I'm 40, my arms are bigger than they are now, and I weigh more and I have more muscle. But I guess I'm enjoying the process, and I'm not. I think also like the part of it for me that which was really bad was like obsessing over a particular split, obsessing over a particular muscle, new types of exercise, stuff like that, instead of taking like the slow and the long process to the destination. I think there's a lot more to be said about that in terms of the spiritual life. And yeah, doing it with other like physical things, like combining lifting with running, with martial arts or something, to where the lifting has like a purpose, like you're getting stronger for your martial art. You're lifting your legs to prevent injury from running or something like that. It just is so vain. And I wish I guess my message to my younger self, a younger person, would be like, watch out who you consume on the internet and how many dudes without their shirts on you're looking at and comparing and wishing you looked like that, you were that strong or something like that. I think strength is a little different, or I think it's very different, but it's different. But yeah, aspiring, the bodybuilding stuff, optimizing nutrition, your day, thinking about that so much. And again, especially for me, like the optimal stuff, I think that's a really dangerous path to tread for your spiritual life. And I would highly recommend doing something like hybrid. It's still fun to compete, to run races, to compete in martial arts, whatever. But I don't know. I mean, it definitely could be done while keeping like the spiritual first. But I guess for me, I'm comfortable knowing I'm not going to make money from my body in terms of like being a professional athlete, like the best at the best. And I enjoy this mixed approach, and it kind of diffuses the vanity and the obsession from each of the disciplines because you're knowing you're doing it for the interior. Not just for the interior, I kind of take that back, it's probably a lie, but it's easier to align with the interior when you're doing the stuff that's hard in multiple different disciplines and trying to conglomerate that to build you up as a person, like altogether foundational instead of micro-focusing on one. That's going to be it. That's the end of the video. Just tread lightly. Tread lightly in the gym. Tread lightly with what your focus is, with what you're thinking about, and what you're obsessing over. God bless.